It's real easy to get excited about an upcoming title. Since the time that they're announced, many games, both mainstream and indie, have benefited from the hype that generally comes between the later phases of development when a title is announced till its release. Unfortunately, not all games that are announced get released. Today, we are taking a look at 10 of those titles. Games that were announced, got us real darn excited, and then fell off the radar. This is our list of the top 10 games that vanished. Many of the games on this list impressed us with their initial teasers, trailers, or gameplay footage, but since have gone quiet, with no sign of whether or not the game will ever come to fruition. Let's get to our list. And at number 10, Skull and Bones. Where the hell is Skull and Bones? Back in 2017 at E3 that year, Ubisoft announced a brand new IP called Skull and Bones. It was a seafaring pirate game that featured not only a story campaign, but also competitive multiplayer components. And it looked really dope. The game, which was initially set to release back in autumn of 2018, was delayed twice, now sitting with an undisclosed release date after spring of 2020. Ubisoft also announced a beta of the game back in 2019, which is yet to go live. The last we heard of this, as of this recording, was from Ubisoft Singapore, who in May of 2019 announced the game's second delay. It's a shame because the story world of it just looks so fun. Up next, number 9, In the Valley of the Gods. Despite nearing the 2.5-year mark since it was announced at the 2017 Game Awards, In the Valley of the Gods is a game that sounds full of promise. It's a first-person adventure game set in 1920s Egypt, starring a documentary filmmaker duo who are exploring the lost tomb of Nefertiti. The game has been likened to Firewatch, a phenomenal game made by the same developers, Campo Santo, due to the game's emotional interpersonal tale weaved into it. Here's where things get tricky though. In 2019, Campo Santo was acquired by Valve. A year later, the studio's co-founder announced the game was on hold, with Valve having put the team on other projects, the likes of Half-Life Alyx. The game remains on hold to this day, with Campo Santo's founder, Jake Rodkin, remaining confident that it's something that the studio can and may return to. Here's hoping they do. In our number 8 spot, Wayward Tide. Yet another pirate game in limbo. Wayward Tide is a title from publisher Chucklefish, the folks who gave us Stardew Valley. In 2014, they announced the game, a co-op adventure set on a treacherous archipelago during the golden age of piracy. But since that announcement, almost 6 years have passed, and we still don't know a whole lot about what's happening with it. Stuck in development hell, one dev who used to work for Chucklefish noted on Reddit that the game has been shelved because of Starbound, and that more would come out after Starbound's release. Another dev on Reddit claims that the development halted on the game when the main programmer left the studio. Ooh, sounds like drama. Up next, number 7, Dead Island 2. Almost 6 years have passed since Dead Island 2 was announced by publisher Deep Silver back in 2014 at E3. Initially, Techline, the developer who made the first Dead Island, was supposed to be leading the charge. But when their hands got too full with Dying Light, Deep Silver decided to bring on a different developer instead, going with Jaeger, who is the developer responsible for Spec Ops: The Line, which, personal opinion here, is a pretty garbage game, just saying. There's a lot of other better games in that genre. Back to the facts. The game was set to come out sometime in spring of 2015. Clearly, that never happened. It started with a delay, pushing to a 2016 release for Dead Island 2. Then, several months after that, Jaeger was pulled from the project, being replaced by Sumo Digital, the people responsible for Little Big Planet 3. Then, in 2019, the devs were switched once again to Dambuster Studios, the people who brought you Homefront: The Revolution. So, where its status is at, who knows? But sounds like it might still happen. Speaking of Techland though, they've got their own title in limbo, which brings us to our next number. At 6, Hellraid. Back in 2012, Project Hell, later to be titled Hellraid, was announced by Techland, the developer we just talked about. People were pretty jazzed about it. It was a co-op slasher, but their development had gone radio silent since. The game was apparently put on hold due to the title not meeting internal expectations. A statement from Techland was released that said, I quote, "We decided the best course of action would be to send it back to the drawing board and invent our dark fantasy title anew." Later on, another statement was given to IGN in which it was revealed that the developer had prioritized Dying Light and Dying Light's expansion due to the popularity that that game had garnered. Since a mobile spin-off was released in 2014 called Hellraid: The Escape. Have you guys played it? What do you think? Give us a shout in the comments below and let us know. Up next, something a little bit more optimistic, and at number 5, Metroid Prime 4. Nintendo release of Metroid Prime 4 is inevitable. It's likely one of the only games on this list that is 100% guaranteed to eventually come out, even though the title has only been teased to us, without any supplementary footage to keep us at bay. After being revealed at the 2017 E3 and a severe lack of updates to follow in 2018, Nintendo announced that the project was being restarted and moved to developer Retro Studios, who actually developed the original Metroid trilogy. Bandai Namco was previously attached according to reports. So, why are we so optimistic about this one? Well, Nintendo has one of the best track records when it comes to announcing high-profile games and actually delivering them. Remember when we all eagerly awaited for a Pokemon game for the Nintendo Switch? They actually delivered, didn't they? With multiple titles. Nintendo is revered internationally for the quality of their games, so you bet your butt the long wait is in part due to them wanting to make sure Metroid is the best possible game it can be, using the Switch and all of its abilities to its full advantage. I mean, look what they did with Smash. As of this recording, a new rumor about the game and a port of the Metroid Prime trilogy has started circulating thanks to a Swedish retailer called Inet, uploading a listing for the trilogy for the Switch for June 19th, 2020. The listing has since been taken down. There's also rumors that Nintendo canceled a direct that was planned for June thanks to the COVID-19 pandemic, and theories that the Paper Mario: The Origami King trailer's inclusion of a Metroid reference means that there is news on its way. If you're watching this video and that news has been announced, be sure to mention it in the comments below so everyone knows. And at number 4, Routine. PC horror game Routine was initially announced back in 2012 with a slated 2013 release. That never happened though, since it's been almost 8 years since the game was announced to the public. A first-person horror exploration game set on an abandoned moon base, which sounds awesome, Routine is a title that got a lot of horror game aficionados real excited. Your goal in the game is to find enough data to uncover the truth behind the strange disappearance of everyone stationed on the Lunar Research Station. But by this point, I think we'd all like to figure out the truth behind the disappearance of this game. That joke. In 2015, developer Lunar made a statement about the game, noting that it was, I quote, "a huge undertaking where we have clearly underestimated a lot of the workload." Fair, right? They released another trailer in 2016 with a release date of March 2017. But then Lunar announced that they needed to tweak their endings because they weren't satisfied with them. What we got next was a whole lot of radio silence. Their social media pages went dead. The next time we would hear about Routine from Lunar would be through a statement sent to Vice, where they claimed that the game was 99% complete, but that they didn't want to give a release date because they did not want to miss a release date again. What year is it now? Right. 2020, and we still haven't heard a word since, at least as of this recording. Not the most optimistic. Up next, number 3, Beyond Good and Evil 2. Beyond Good and Evil 2 is the game with the longest development hell on our list today. Since it was announced in 2008 by Ubisoft, it's been in limbo, although over the years there seemingly has been some major progress. Between 2008 and 2016, fans of the original game eagerly awaited updates, only to hear in passing that there was slow progress, but that the game was still being worked on. Then, just prior to E3 in 2017, Ubisoft reconfirmed the sequel was happening, and then had it at its presentation at the gaming convention, where we got to see a beautiful new trailer and hints as to what the team and creator Michael Ansel had been working on. There have been updates and announcements since, including a collaboration announcement with Joseph Gordon-Levitt's Hit Record, which is an online community of creatives. That collaboration is to help create assets for the game. Now most are skeptical to guess a release date for Beyond Good and Evil 2, but based off of what we know, it will surely be after 2021. Moving on to our number 2 spot, Star Citizen. Star Citizen, unlike the other numbers on this list, is actually a game that is playable in alpha right now, but has yet to see a full release. Now, despite this, it scores one of the top spots on our list thanks to having been announced over 7.5 years ago at the time of this recording. And there's been a whole lot of scandal too. If you haven't heard of it, Star Citizen is a highly ambitious and massive multiplayer space trading and combat simulator, and has become highly controversial during its production. Back in 2012, a crowdfunding campaign was launched, raising over $275 million American from 2.5 million backers, making it the most successful video game crowdfunding campaign ever. There was an additional $46 million in private funding too. Yet, the game's development staggers. It hasn't even reached beta, and the director behind the project, Chris Roberts, even told Forbes that he's stopped trying to guess when the game will be fully released. I don't know if that's a good sign, folks. There was even a standalone single-player component of the game called Squadron 42 that was set to be released after it was announced in 2015. But guess what? It still hasn't been released. And according to their developer roadmap, the first chapter of the game, it's made up of 28 chapters might I add, has yet to be completed. And that scandal that we mentioned earlier, well, the game released a DLC pack that cost $27,000. To even view its contents, you would have to spend $1,000 to see it. That, my friends, is whack. And in the game itself, you can buy plots of land for $50. Sounds like there's a lot of money transactions going on here, but not a lot of follow-through on the game. There's a controversy surrounding getting refunds, according to an article published by Eurogamer, and a lawsuit filed by Crytek over the developer's use of its Cry engine. Yikes. Where did all that money go? Well, as of this recording, the game is in Alpha 3.9, so maybe that's a mystery we won't be able to solve for a while. And last but not least, in our number 1 spot, we have Agent. Agent is perhaps one of the most popular games that never was, a title from Rockstar Games that was announced at E3 2009 by Sony. The game was meant to be a PlayStation 3 exclusive, a self-proclaimed ultimate action game about espionage during the height of the Cold War at the end of the 1970s, which sounds amazing, knowing what Rockstar can do. But no release date was announced, and since, there's been a whole lot of silence from Rockstar concerning the title, and a lot of rumors about Agent in general. In 2011, the game was said to be in development still, and an artist portfolio featuring some of the first conceptual work for the title was released. In 2014 and 2016, Rockstar renewed the trademarks for the game, which had a lot of people optimistic, but in 2018, they officially abandoned the trademark. Not so optimistic now. According to Polygon, some of the missions and locations that were supposed to be in Agent ended up finding their way into Grand Theft Auto V instead, leaving many to believe that Agent is dead in the water now. Despite this, the game's website remains live to this day, and strangely enough, Rockstar has never officially announced that the title was cancelled. Over the past several years, there's also been rumors abound concerning artwork leaks. Perhaps the most insight we have on Rockstar's game that never was is a piece that Polygon published in 2019, featuring in-depth detail as to the trials and tribulations concerning the game and the Rockstar San Diego and Rockstar North teams. An expose that reveals a lot of toxic workplace environment allegations, might we add. Alright, there we have it, friends. What other video games on our list do you wish you could play? Which ones got you the most excited, and which ones have left you the most disappointed? Give us a shout in those comments below and let us know your thoughts and feels. If you folks dug this video, spread that love, hit that like button, and be sure to subscribe to Top 10 Gaming for more lists just like this. In the meantime, thanks for watching. I'll catch you all in the next video.